Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. So that was February then, and what a difference compared to last year. The old jet stream had a big kink in it right down towards the equator and has been bringing us some incredibly warm, mild air. And for the last week we've had some really bright sunny days. And what I really wanted to say about weather is the weather we don't get a say in, but the months we do. And as February ends and we go into March, we hit the month of the year with the greatest rate of change of day length for those who, use real light rather than artificial light. And the rate of change is dramatic through March. As we head into March, we hit the magic 11 hours, and by the time we head out of March, we're not far off 13 hours. Yeah, so all our plants are back in our comfort zone. Yeah, most of the plants we grow are tropical, and their day lengths are between 11 and 13 hours. And yet during the month of March, we transition from their shortest day to their longest day. So this is when the growing starts, people. This is when it starts. If you're using natural light and you're on similar sort of latitudes to the UK, which includes most of Canada, some of the northern states, a lot of Europe, and across into the Far East. I don't talk too much about the southern hemisphere because they're in the opposite phase to us. So the likes of Australia, New Zealand, they're coming into their autumn now, so it's a whole different ball game. As we get buds, their things are finishing off their growing season. So yeah, it's quite dramatic the way things are different around the world. But yeah, a little comment that was made at our Bournemouth Orchid Society meeting. Somebody always has a little chat towards the end of the meeting of the things you ought to be doing in your greenhouse. Well, it's always about the greenhouses. They forget about people who don't grow in a greenhouse. They just get forgotten. And as I'd just done my talk, which was based on orchids growing in the home, it was fresh in my mind, I suppose. And the guy said, and don't forget, keep your humidity up. Go round with the watering can and water your floor. Keep that humidity up. And I looked at the person next to me and said, that's not going to do your lounge carpet any good at all. People that grow in the home just get forgotten, I'm afraid, by an awful lot of orchid growers. But yes, if you grow in the home, in the main, you've got natural light coming in the windows. Well, the sun's going to get stronger, the day lengths are going to get longer. Might not be quite so dramatic as in an environment like this. The main difference between my environment is the roof. It's the fact that I have light coming in from above, yeah, and also from two good sides. So I've got multi-directional light for the plants, so they don't all strain towards a single light source. That's my main difference. But yeah, it's a month of change. Things are on the move quite dramatically during this month. Things that haven't pushed up any new growth for a while should start doing it, All your late winter spring bloomers should be doing it, So things are on the change. But sometimes we look and we don't see. Now, what brought this to my attention was one of my Tulumnias that's just opening. I was looking to see if most of the blooms have opened enough to film it. And I'll walk through what's just happened. Well, it was earlier today when I was half asleep, but nonetheless, it was this red one here. And I walked towards it with the intention of looking to see if there was enough blooms open to film it properly. I'm waiting for these three to open. And this caught my eye. And I thought, what an unusual Tulumnia. It's got some sort of structure sticking out the back of the plant. How unusual. And then I had one of those Homer moments. Duh. They've all got it. And I've spent quite a long time growing Tulumnias and I have never noticed. Now, okay, if you look at the structure on the back of these plants, it's quite small and blends in with the plant. I've got an excuse for perhaps missing that. But on this latest Tulumnia, not only is this little structure quite large, but it's two-toned colour. And it was this bright colour on the end of the structure that caught my eye, specifically on this one, because it's back to front. I'm looking at the back of the plant. And all the time I've been growing Tolumnias, I have never noticed that before. It's like I say, sometimes you look and you just don't see. I mean, this is what we do, don't we? We look at the front of our blooms. But sometimes there's stuff going on round the back that needs looking at. I've never noticed that before. And obviously it's a trait of Tolumnia blooms. And I've always said that the main difference between Tolumnias and their original classifications, the Oncidiums, is not the blooms, it's the plant. It's the plant with their fleshy, triangular cross-section leaves, to me, that makes them quite different to other Oncidium types. So I appreciated the reclassification. I like this one. It's one of the name changes I actually agreed with. There aren't many. But this one, yes. And but now when you look at the structure of the plant from behind, these blooms are not quite so Oncidium-like. They do have a major difference. And blow me, I've never noticed that before. And out of the corner of my eye, I've just noticed something that you're all going to be interested in this. We're going to have a laugh down the line. I've been waiting for this Cattleya. It's finished its blooms. It's done that. This was this the angel heart? Yeah, that's the angel heart. Good guess. And I did say that I can't let this carry on growing like this because it's lopsided. If you look at it from the side view, most of the plant is from the centre of the pot outwards, and it's becoming incredibly unstable. And if I let this next growth grow, all the new roots are going to be outside the pot, which, if the plant was stable, would not be that big a deal. But I want to repot this, and this has got it's not even going to let go of the pot with one hand. It has an awful lot of roots out through the holes in the pot. Now that's going to be fun, trying to get that plant out of that pot, but it has to be done. And I've always said repot when you see those new roots. Now these new roots have only just started and there's only a couple, so it's a little bit too soon yet. I'm going to give that a couple more weeks for as many roots as possible to start and get a little bit of length to them, so that when I repot it, there are some new roots down in the new media, and then that new growth can take off. I'd certainly like to see more than one new growth on this one, and there are possibilities in other places. But the back end of the plant can come off now. You know, this stumpy bit here, possibly that pseudobulb there. Well, that pseudobulb's got a good pair of leaves on it and a dormant eye. I might even try sticking that in a pot and see if it'll grow, because the back end of the plant is quite strong. So we may get two plants out of that, but I want this part of the plant in a pot or in the pot, not hanging over the side. So that's going to be a fun repot, isn't it? I don't think there are any other of my Cattleya types that need a repot. It's just going to be that one. I mean, obviously the mounted ones are fine, they can stay where they are, but yeah, so a fun repot coming up. And it looks like there might be a secondary growth here, swelling. If I can get two leads, I'll be over the moon. So it did have two leads once, but that stumpy bit on the end of my finger was broken when I got it. It's the reason I got it cheap. And that stalled that lead. It's never grown since. But we shall see what we can do. If I can get two leads going again, I'll be over the moon. And two leads equals two sets of blooms, obviously. So that's that. And there's lots of other stuff to repot. And I'm cracking on with that now. What I'm going to do is pick on orchid types to film. I'm not filming every single repot. It'll just get tedious because it's repetition. But I mean, it's a hell of a long time ago since I filmed repotting a Paphiopedilum, for instance, and all of mine need doing. Well, I won't film all of them, but I can film perhaps the first couple, which may even take place today. There's quite a few Oncidium types need a repot. My Latorias need repotting. I can't remember if I've even filmed repotting one of those. my Phalaenopsis type dendrobiums need a repot. So there's another different type of orchid. So just going round the, the types of orchids, I'll pick on them, some examples and film them. Now that might only end up being 3 or 4 videos, but nonetheless people seem to enjoy the repotting videos, so as long as people enjoy them, I'll film them. They're quite easy to film because the camera sits on a tripod. I can just get on with things, So anyway, this one is going to open soon. I did say that this is white, and it's a little unusual for a dendrobium to have no sign of any white. This is quite a deep coloured bud, and yet when it opens it's pure white. So that'll be open soon, so that'll be to look at. And the other one that I'm looking forward to, because I don't really know what to expect, is this Sarcochilus, which I wasn't expecting to bloom, I must admit. But nonetheless, we have a little spike. I would say the blooms are going to be quite small, and they're going to be white. This is what I'm getting at. See, I know these blooms are going to be white, the buds are white, and yet this one has quite a deep colour to the buds. Different orchids, different styles, different things, yeah, going on. And this monster up the back, this really large dendrobium, is Chrysotoxum, and the spikes on this are really starting to move now. I can't get at all of them without getting the plant out, but there are many. I do have spikes coming out. I mean, if you look there, that particular cane there, there's 3 old spikes there. Well, it's pushing a new spike up from down here. So this one can, and same with this one. There's a new spike coming there on the end of my finger. So there are lots of spikes sneaking up on this one. The latest growths may not bloom this year, but I haven't had the plant long enough to know that. So at the moment, all the spikes are coming on older canes, many of which have already bloomed. And they're blooming again. So a repeat blooming on canes is good stuff. So we've got that to look forward to. And this has quite long arching spikes, and from memory, because it was in bloom when I got it, but the blooms were fading fast. I think they're a bright yellow. From memory, but we shall see. I don't know how long. I'd like to think, although I don't know, it's probably going to grow spikes similar to the Phalaenopsis types at that sort of rate. It's a similar style plant. It doesn't come into the same section, I don't think. But if you take this plant down here, this one that's currently holding all my spent twinkle blooms, this plant down here produces spikes in a similar manner. It produces nubbins near the end of the cane and the spikes come out. And that's a Farmeri cross with Griffithianum, that one. And the spikes grow at a phenomenal rate. It was actually nicknamed the WTF orchid when it first bloomed for me a few years ago, because I noticed the nubbins starting to move, and it seemed as though I went out for a coffee and came back and they were 6 inches long. The rate of growth of the spikes is phenomenal on that type of orchid. But I've seen that before, so I know what to expect now. But yeah, the Chrysotoxum I haven't seen bloom before. I'm getting, although there's still a number of plants that have yet to bloom, the number is going down all the time. And the number's been bumped up a little bit by new acquisitions. There's quite a few new Cattleyas around, either as gifts or bought. But either way, there's quite a few there that haven't bloomed yet that I'm looking forward to getting at it this year. They may not bloom till the end of the season. A lot of Cattleyas bloom that way. The Wilbur Chang hasn't bloomed yet, although it does look like it might. Somebody did say that that looks more like a spike than a new growth, but fingers crossed. I might be able to cross that one off the list. But yeah, we're getting there. So for those of you who are using natural light, just watch out this month. The day lengths are going to rocket, and you're going to get up to the main growing season in not that many weeks. It comes around quite suddenly, and quite honestly, it's one of the times, March is one of those times when you've got to snap out of your routines. The routines that you may have been doing for 2 or 3 months, you need to snap out of it. Watering frequencies. If there's more light, longer day lengths, things will grow more. They grow more, they need more watering. The frequency will need to bump up probably. And also your feed levels. When things start coming into active growth, they'll use more nutrients to achieve those growths. So this is where the routines need a rethink. Yeah, don't just plod away in your winter routine when in fact your plants are bursting into life. It's the time of change, and we need to keep up with the plants, yeah, and not lag behind. Some of my resting dendrobiums, it's almost like a miracle because they've started their new growths. Well, last year they didn't start their new growths till the end of March. We were in the middle of the beast from the east. This time last year we had sub-zero temperatures day and night. And, you know, the early part of March, the first couple of weeks, we had deep snow everywhere. You know, difference a year makes. So, yes, I believe this year is an early start to the season, which means the growing season will be longer. Longer growing season, bigger growths. But keep up with them. Yeah, it's like I've always said, when in active growth, feed and water well. Don't sit there looking at it, scratching your head, thinking, should I water today or not? Get at it. Yeah, help your plants along. They'll appreciate it. Yeah, active growing plants need that extra bit of kick, that extra help. And they'll reward you for it with bigger pseudobulbs, bigger canes, you know, longer canes, whatever. Yeah. Well worth helping them along the way. I'm probably my most active growing orchid at the moment is Hibiki. You know, that started some new growths a while back in the winter, and it's pushed them on slowly but surely through the winter. But as long as they don't get a terminal leaf, they'll keep growing. Yeah, and now this season change is here. This is the largest new growth. That one's been there a while, and it hasn't finished growing. Still got another leaf coming out, and I certainly hope these little short ones haven't finished growing. These are the winter ones. No, they've got new leaves, so they're still growing. You know, they've got to get up like this. They've got to reach that size before they finish growing. And while they're in active growth like that, they'll easily stall if they don't get the help they need. And the help they need is good watering and feeding. You know, get them stonked up. Bigger and stronger they are, the more chance you've got of actual blooms or more blooms. Combination of the two. So, yeah, watch your active growths. And keep going, you know, keep at it. There are some orchids that grow continuously. They might be slower in the winter. But if you grow in the home, strictly speaking, it's only the day length that's going to slow them up, because they're not going to get cold in your home unless you've deliberately found a cold place for them. You know, so different growth rates for different environments. But, you know, I'm coming back to the shorter night, so even if it does chill down at night, it's not for as long. And then the daytime comes round and up the old temperature goes again. So, yep, all change, all change. And yeah, I'll leave it at that because I want to get this posted, because the actual processing ties me down a little bit for a while, so that I can get on with some repotting. I haven't decided what I'm going to repot today. It might even be something that I'm not going to film, but I need to crack on with it because I've got so many to do, and I don't like doing too many at once. I've found that I can do 3 or 4 if they all have the same media, which is how I'm selecting little sets to repot. I sort of think, well, what media is this one going to have? And then try and find some more that need the same media, so they've only got one lot to think about, not lots of different types of media on the go all at the same time. They'd all end up with the wrong stuff if I was in a bad mood. So I try and keep it all calm and nice and feel in the mood to do the repotting, and then I enjoy it. If I feel like I've got to do it, I don't enjoy it so much, and I'm far less likely to film it under those circumstances. So let's get at it. We've got a funny day today, because although it said we've got some heavy rain expected and a lot of cloud, and yet I'm standing here in hazy sunshine. They can be wrong, but looking at the shape of the weather patterns coming in, we're going to get some rain from now right through into the weekend, and some of it's going to be heavy. So there goes the bright light. and higher temperatures, but it means all my kit doesn't have to work so hard, bumping up my electricity bill. That has been quite high this winter. Never mind. That's what the YouTube money's for. At least it doesn't come out of my own pocket anymore, so I don't worry about it anymore. I just let it happen, you know. If I need the heater on, then so be it, you know. And yeah, we'll crack on. I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.